Mali, a vast landlocked country in the heart of West Africa, is being slowly choked by a group linked to Al-Qaeda. For more than a month now, the country's capital, Bamako, has been under a kind of siege. Fuel convoys heading to the city have been attacked or blocked, leaving pumps dry. Fuel shortages have brought life in Bamako close to a standstill. Long lines stretch outside fuel stations. Many have shut completely. Public transport is paralyzed. Schools have closed. Power cuts are frequent and the cost of food is climbing fast. The blockade has lasted weeks, and without new supplies from neighboring Ivory Coast, Senegal and Mauritania, the city is running out of essentials. The group behind this is Jama'at Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, or JNIM. It is an Al-Qaeda affiliated network that is spread across the Sahel. To understand why this is happening, let's first look at Mali itself. Mali is one of Africa's largest countries. It gained independence from France in 1960. It stretches from the Sahara Desert in the north to the green savannas in the south. But it's also one of the poorest countries in Africa, because Mali is a landlocked country and has no coastline. It depends on imports from its neighbors for fuel, food, and most goods. The economy is fragile, relying mainly on gold, mining, and agriculture. And the state's reach outside of the main cities has always been limited. Mali lies in the Sahel, a semi-arid belt that runs under the Sahara from the Atlantic to the Red Sea. Across this region, weak governments, poverty, and climate pressures have created fertile ground for jihadist movements. And for more than a decade, Mali has been one of their main battlegrounds. The current crisis did not appear overnight. In 2012, a rebellion in the north, combined with the rise of jihadist groups, plunged the country into chaos. French forces intervened in 2013 and pushed the insurgents back, but the peace was temporary. The jihadists regrouped and spread into central Mali. By 2020, the worsening violence and government corruption triggered protests and led to a military coup. The junta promised to restore order and defeat the jihadists. 5 years later, that promise has failed. The insurgency is stronger than ever, and the government is more isolated. At the center of the storm is JNIM. It's the most powerful jihadist group in Mali today. It was formed in 2017 when 4 factions joined together under the Al-Qaeda banner. The group's goal is to overthrow the Malian state and establish an Islamic country based on their strict version of Sharia law. Over the years, JNIM has built a decentralized network of fighters who move quickly through remote areas on motorbikes, blending into local communities and exploiting the government's absence. They don't only fight, they also collect tax from local traders, run their own courts, and present themselves as an alternative authority. In many areas, they have become the de facto rulers. The group funds itself through a mix of methods like ransom payments from kidnappings, taxing, transport, and mining operations, and smuggling goods like fuel and arms across porous borders. In recent months, JNIM has taken this further. Experts call their strategy economic warfare. By targeting fuel convoys and industrial sites, they are not just attacking the army, but the everyday functioning of the state. That's what's happening now. For the junta, this is a major test. Bamako is Mali's heart. It's home to more than 4 million people and the center of its politics, business, and administration. Over 90% of the formal businesses operate in the capital. If Bamako falls, it would not just be a military defeat. It could mark the end of the Malian state.
Ça fait 3 semaines. It's been about 3 weeks that we have been at a standstill. Sometimes you happen to get a tiny bit of fuel, but it can't serve many people, so we can't start selling. You risk being attacked by some fellow citizens. It's very difficult to truly describe the situation we are living in. For a head of family who comes home every day empty handed, it's extremely hard.
The army has launched airstrikes and ground operations to break the siege, but progress is limited. The terrain is vast and difficult, full of bush paths and dry riverbeds. The jihadists strike quickly, ambush convoys, and disappear. Despite help from Russian Wagner mercenaries, who are now rebranded as the African Corps, the military remains overstretched and under-equipped. At the same time, the government's legitimacy is fading. Repeated coups and postponed elections have left Mali without a functioning democracy. Many rural communities distrust the army, accusing it of abuses and neglect. And as the state grows weaker, JNIM is filling the vacuum. In villages under its control, the jihadists group enforces dress codes and runs its own courts, often punishing people harshly under its interpretation of Islamic law. Across the Sahel, the pattern is similar. Burkina Faso and Niger, both Mali's neighbors, are also ruled by military juntas and face their own jihadist insurgencies. JNIM operates in all three countries, expanding steadily toward West Africa's coastal states. In July, the group carried out dozens of attacks in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and even claimed one in northern Nigeria. What began as a local conflict is now a regional threat. Why is JNIM gaining ground despite years of counter-terrorism efforts? According to experts, it's because JNIM has adapted where the state has not. The Malian army is trained for conventional warfare, but JNIM fights asymmetrically, small, mobile, and unpredictable. The group uses local grievances to recruit and relies on informal economies to survive. Its fighters can strike and vanish long before government forces arrive. The blockade of Bamako shows how the group's strategy has evolved. Instead of capturing territory, JNIM is focusing on cutting off the capital by isolating it economically and politically. By starving the city of fuel and essentials, it hopes to weaken public confidence in the junta and eventually force the regime to collapse or negotiate. What happens next will shape not just Mali's future, but the entire Sahel. Analysts see three possible outcomes. The first is a military breakthrough where the junta somehow regains control of key supply routes. That seems unlikely given the army's current strength. The second is a negotiated settlement. There could be some kind of dialogue between the authorities and the jihadists. This idea is controversial, but gaining traction among Mali's political and religious leaders. The third and most alarming scenario is a total collapse with the fall of Bamako and the emergence of an Al-Qaida-ruled state in West Africa. So Mali's crisis is the result of years of poor governance, corruption, and broken promises. JNIM has simply taken advantage of that weakness. In the end, what's happening in Mali is not just a national crisis, but a warning for the whole region. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Mark Lynn signing off. Take care and stay safe. Namaskar.